A user on X posted a video of a Tesla in Mad Max mode rolling a stop sign. Well, I want to roll stop signs. Who posted that? It's me. A few weeks ago, Tesla finally started rolling out FSD version 14, first to an early group of testers, but they've been rolling it wider and wider to a large base of Tesla customers. And already, NHTSA is investigating part of that software. Tesla's 14th version of its full self-driving software has 5 different profiles that you can choose from. There is Sloth, Chill, Standard, Hurry, and Mad Max. And Mad Max, that 5th profile setting, is what NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration, is interested in. Now, there's a little bit of history here, but I want to start by going through this article with you, kind of talk through some of these points, but also diving into the history of Tesla full self-driving, how it behaves, and these different profile settings, because they've had these profile settings for quite a while. So if we look here, US investigates Tesla's Mad Max high-speed driver assistance mode. Some drivers say vehicles using new version of full self-driving system can travel above speed limits. Whoa, it can now. Well, FSD has always been able to travel above speed limits for the past 5 years. So why are they now looking into this? I think it's kind of odd, but we'll talk about that as we go. The U.S. Main Transportation Safety Regulatory said on Friday it was seeking information from Tesla about a new driver assistance mode dubbed Mad Max that operates at higher speeds than other versions. Some drivers on social media report that Tesla vehicles using the more aggressive version of its full self-driving system could operate above posted speed limits. Now, this is already where it starts to get a little funny because FSD could always travel above posted speed limits. Actually, the base autopilot, the older version before full self-driving existed, and the current version would limit you to only 5 over the posted speed limit unless it was a divided road or like on the highway. And that was actually pretty annoying some of the time when autopilot had the wrong speed limit. Say you're in a 55 zone, but autopilot thinks the speed limit is 35. The fastest autopilot could go was 40 miles per hour. So it wasn't something you really wanted to use in that situation. Well, full self-driving has always allowed you to speed. In the past, you had a user selectable target speed where you'd say, hey, I want to go 60 miles per hour, and FSD would try to go that speed. Back on version 13, we had a max speed. So FSD would go whatever speed it deemed fit for the area, but the responsible person in the vehicle, because of course this is still full self-driving supervised, could set a maximum speed. So for example, in version 13, you're on a 70 mile per hour road. The car wants to go 85 miles per hour, but you could cap that at say 79 miles per hour. And no matter what the car did, it could not go above that 79 mile per hour limit that the driver, the human, set. Now, fast forward to what we have today, version 14, there's no maximum speed cap. And I think that's an important part of this, but we're going to get back to that because I want to talk about a little history that I have talked about recently in videos, but I just want everything wrapped up nicely in this video because there's some important points we need to talk about. So back in the day, many years ago, FSD would actually roll stop signs. So when you come to a stop sign illegally, you're supposed to get to the stop line. If there's no line painted there, you can go up to the curb of the adjacent road that you'd either be crossing across or turning onto, and you would stop there and you'd make a complete stop, meaning your speedometer would actually get to 0, you'd feel a little rollback in the car, and then if it's clear, you could proceed. Well, most people don't do that. I know there's a couple of you out there commenting saying that you always do that, and that's fine. Even people that say they make complete stops usually only go down to like 2 or 3 miles per hour before they proceed. Full actual complete stops are usually pretty awkward and they don't happen most of the time. We're talking mostly US stuff here, and a lot of this will vary across the country, but I know in my area, pretty much everyone rolls stop signs unless a cop is behind you. Then you make complete stops because they definitely will pull you over and possibly give you a ticket for rolling a stop sign. So although it's not technically legal, what this creates is an understanding of the drivers around that, hey, if you get to the stop sign first, I know you're going to go. You're not going to go all the way to 0. I see you rolling and then moving through there. I'll wait for you and then I'll take my turn. And what ends up happening is if you do make complete stops like full self-driving now does, the other drivers can get confused. But I'm getting off a little bit. That's not the important part here. The important part here is full self-driving years ago used to actually roll stop signs, and it was very natural. Now, it wouldn't do it all the time. It wasn't blasting through a stop sign at 10 miles per hour. It would approach a stop sign, slow down, and roll it at anywhere between, say, 1 and 4 miles per hour. But FSD in the background, we didn't know this at the time, FSD had a set of parameters it needed to meet to actually roll a stop sign. The intersection it was coming up to had to be empty. There had to be no VRUs, vulnerable road users like cyclists or pedestrians around. There had to be no other traffic. The speed limit had to be below a certain threshold. The intersection needed to have good clarity so the car could see what it was doing and what was going on. And if it met all of these kind of safety checks, it would then roll a stop sign. If any of those weren't met, the car would make a complete stop and then do its little creeping maneuver so it could move up, see better, and then continue on its journey. Well, all those years ago, NHTSA saw this on YouTube videos or on X or Twitter or whatever they were checking, and they basically said to Tesla, oh, nope, you can't do that anymore. You cannot roll stop signs. It's illegal. So make your software make complete stops at every stop sign every time. And along with that, they enforced some other rules. There were some mistakes. FSD used to make a lot of mistakes back then. But one mistake it would make is say it got into a left turn lane accidentally, but was supposed to go straight. As soon as it was clear, the car would then just go straight out of the left turn lane. So that's another example. NHTSA said, all right, if you're in a left turn lane, you have to actually turn left. You have to follow the rules of the lane you're in. There were some other things that NHTSA mentioned back then as well, but those were the two most impactful. And the rolling stop signs especially still bother people to this day. I know for me, I've actually been honked at multiple times making complete stops at stop signs. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm actually following the law. I'm doing things perfectly legal, but it's weird for people. They don't understand. They see a completely empty intersection and they see me roll up to the stop sign, get to zero, and then start to go. And before I can even get to zero, they're thinking, why isn't this guy going? It's completely clear. Now, whether you think that's right or wrong or whatever is irrelevant. You can leave it down in the comments below. Let us know what you think. But it kind of relates to what we're talking about today in this video. So let's continue with the article. And then right before we continue looking at the article here, I got to tell you about today's sponsor, Delete Me. Data brokers are collecting your personal information and selling it online to third parties. This unfortunately can lead to identity theft, phishing, and other scams. So today's sponsor, Delete Me, can get your information removed from these data brokers. I have personally been using Delete Me for over 2 years, and I have seen my information disappear from these data brokers. Data brokers collect information like your name, your phone number, your address, your email, where you work, family members, and a lot of other things. The even bigger problem is there are hundreds or even thousands of these data brokers out there, all collecting and sharing this information. But Delete Me can go to those data brokers for you on your behalf and get your information removed and deleted. Not only does this save you hours and hours of time, it keeps your private information private. It can reduce the chance that your identity is stolen. It can even reduce those spam phone calls that you get. I've heard from a lot of you that you are enjoying Delete Me. Even my father-in-law is using Delete Me, and he told me after he signed up, the amount of spam emails that he was receiving dropped a ton. Not gonna lie, I didn't even know that was something Delete Me could help with, but he said that was one of the biggest changes he noticed after he signed up. So use my link down below, save 20% on Delete Me, and thank you so much to Delete Me for sponsoring this video. We are going 75 and a 50. I feel like we are racing down the street right now. That was from Canada. Tesla, yeah, Canada FSD. So check out his channel if you want to see that. I think that was a live stream he was doing. But if we go back here, the next one, a user on X posted a video of a Tesla in Mad Max mode rolling a stop sign. Well, I want to roll stop signs. What? Who posted that? It's me. What? I posted it not rolling a stop sign. So here's a video I posted right here. And I said right here, 70 and 55. Yes. Roll a stop sign. No. And so let me expand this here. And you can see in this video, I'm actually expressing my disappointment that Tesla will allow the car to go 20 or 30 miles per hour over the speed limit, but it still won't roll a stop sign. We get to zero. It's a perfectly clear area. Nobody's out. It's late at night and we still have to get to zero. But you know, 2 minutes before that, we were doing 70 and a 55. So who is this? The Guardian. You need to update your article. You have wrong information in this article here. NHTSA is in contact with the manufacturer, with Tesla, to gather additional information. They said in a statement, the human behind the wheel is fully responsible for driving the vehicle and complying with all traffic safety laws. NHTSA earlier this month opened an investigation into 2.9 million Tesla vehicles equipped with its full self-driving system due to dozens of reports of traffic safety violations. So you're looking at 2.9 million vehicles and dozens of safety violations. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. Okay, and crashes, that's bad. That's bad. But dozens of crashes over 2.9 million vehicles, you really got to look at the stats on that. NHTSA said in opening the investigation, it was reviewing 58 reports of issues involving traffic safety violations when using FSD, including 14 crashes and 23 injuries. So we had 14 crashes out of 2.9 million vehicles using the software. That doesn't sound that bad to me. That sounds well below the national average of traffic accidents, and especially well below safety violations, which humans are doing constantly, including myself, like rolling stop signs. Tesla did not immediately respond to a request for comment. They never do. But last week reposted a social media post. So Tesla reposted a post that described Mad Max mode is accelerating and weaving through traffic at an incredible pace, all while still being super smooth. It drives your car like a sports car. If you are running late, this is the mode for you. That is so funny. And they did, I'll show you a screenshot of that. They did repost that. NHTSA said earlier this month that FSD, an assistance system that requires drivers to pay attention and intervene if needed, has induced vehicle behavior that violated traffic safety laws. So this is something that NHTSA is looking into. And my first thought when Tesla put out this Mad Max mode is I was like, what are they doing? Why do they want to draw this additional scrutiny? This is like my first, 5 minutes using the software. And I posted all of this on X. I complained about it in videos, or I should say I kind of ranted about it in a video or two. And I had a lot of pushback. A lot of people like, oh, we like to drive like this, blah, blah, blah. But my point was NHTSA has already come at Tesla in the past, as we saw with the rolling stops, and put limits on full self-driving. They are watching full self-driving all the time, which, to be honest, I actually don't mind. I think that you should have outside forces watching over this stuff to make sure any individual company, whether it's Tesla or someone else, doesn't go too crazy or isn't making people unsafe. I don't think an investigation on its own is the worst news, because if it is safe, as long as there's no like politics being played or like retribution trying to be got by somebody here or there, I think it is good, because an investigation done properly will show, hey, this software is really safe. Maybe we should just let it do, what it's doing. Or we can come to an agreement with Tesla to say, hey, we see that your software is safe. Maybe could you do this and this, but we don't want to interfere too much because you're doing a good job. So with all of that said, my first thought when they're having this car, go like 70 miles per hour and a 55 or whatever it's going to do is NHTSA going to come down on Tesla and say, all right, you have to go the speed limit now. It's something they could technically enforce. Even going 56 and a 55 is technically illegal. And while you'd never get pulled over for that, when you have a robot car or a piece of software that's on millions of vehicles that you can update whenever you want and you can restrict in any way you want, it is feasible for someone like NHTSA to tell Tesla, all right, you have to go exactly the speed limit. You can't go over it. Now, we all know the main reason this would be awful is because sometimes FSD has the wrong speed limit. I know on the 55 mile per hour road right by my house, never in my 5+ years of using FSD has this road said anything besides 55 miles per hour. But within the past few weeks, parts of that road, not the whole road, there's no turns, it's just one straight road. It says 55 miles per hour. There are no speed limit signs. And then on the nav, it changes to 25 miles per hour on my screen. It changes back to 55, changes back to 25. Now, luckily, FSD at this point is kind of smart enough to ignore that and goes fast enough, but it still changes the behavior of the car. And imagine if NHTSA came in here and said, all right, Tesla, you messed around with Mad Max. Now we are limiting you. You have to go the speed limit. Oh my goodness. That would just ruin FSD. I don't even know if I could use it in most places that I'm driving because number one, either the posted speed limit is wrong, or number two, local traffic just simply drives too fast. And, I get your arguments like, oh, you got to follow the law, ignore the people around you. But sometimes that's not the safest thing. You can't anger the drivers around you. You can't hold up traffic. If you're in a 2-lane road and everyone's going a certain speed, you can't just go well below everyone around you without really gumming things up and creating a complicated situation. Now, NHTSA has been and will continue to investigate Tesla and full self-driving. It's just kind of part of their job. And as this evolves and new software updates come out, I think we'll continue to see these things. The headlines will try to shock us with, oh, millions of cars are being investigated by NHTSA. I mean, really, they're investigating the software. So the more cars that Tesla sells that have the software on them, the more cars are being investigated. But I don't think that's the important part. The important part is NHTSA is looking at the software. Now, I do think we have something kind of saving us here. If you look at Tesla's vehicles, they're the only ones that are this advanced, that are so advanced that they can stop at stop signs and use roundabouts and do all these special things, that they can break safety regulations by themselves, right? Without human input. And I think where we're kind of safe on NHTSA regulating us in terms of like speeding or going over the speed limit or doing something in that regard is that there are examples of pretty much all other modern cars you can buy where they, number one, can read speed limit signs and know the local speed limits or have map data. And number two, they also have even, a simple traffic aware cruise control or even a dumb cruise control that you can set to whatever speed you want. So while Tesla is the only manufacturer that has a car that can stop at stop signs and NHTSA can say, all right, you have to make complete stops at stop signs, they're not the only manufacturer that has a car that has the capability to be limited to the speed limit. So my hope is that because most modern cars that you buy today have some way of knowing the speed limit and also some way for you to set how fast it's going, NHTSA isn't going to do a big blanket regulation that includes all those other manufacturers, because they couldn't just pick on Tesla and say, okay, your cars, know the speed limit, they have to go the speed limit, because many manufacturers have vehicles that know the speed limit and you don't have to follow it. Now, the other thing personally for me that would make me love Mad Max, or really any of the modes that we can select on our Tesla, is a max speed. Please, Tesla, bring that back. I actually really enjoy Mad Max. I love the way it changes lanes, the way it gets around traffic, how assertive it is, how smart it feels, how intentional it is about moving around the world and getting to its destination. But I don't really want to be going 75 in a 50. I think that's crazy. So if I could cap the speed to, say, 10% over the speed limit like I could in version 13, that pretty much solves every problem I have. And I think that's kind of the biggest sticking point for me or other people who think this is a little nutty, is that Tesla doesn't give us a way to control our max speed. And I hear you. You could scroll down to standard or chill or even sloth. And sloth is way following the speed limit. Maybe it's even 1 or 2 miles per hour under the speed limit sometimes. But the problem is the car does not always know the correct speed limit, especially still school zones seem sketchy. I've seen some people where it's working for them. For me, it changed the speed limit for just a few seconds to be the correct one and then changed back while we were still in the school zone. So even if I'm in sloth, the slowest setting, if the car thinks the speed limit is 45 miles per hour and really it's 25 miles per hour, it's going to be speeding, and there's nothing I can do besides disengaging, of course, because I am the supervisor and I'm in control, to limit FSD to slow it down. And so in those situations, if I had a max speed, I could simply scroll down to a max speed of 25 or 26 or whatever I want in that slower zone, and even though FSD is wrong, it doesn't know the real speed limit, it would still be going the speed limit because me, the supervisor who's in control, controlled it and made it go that slower speed. So yes, NHTSA is investigating Mad Max, but they're investigating FSD, a lot about FSD, and they'll continue to do that, and I actually think they should continue doing that as the software is developed, and even as it goes unsupervised, they will be looking into it, just like they look into Waymo and Cruise and other operations. Now, I'm not too worried that we're going to get capped out at the speed limit. I don't think that's going to happen, although it was my number one thought when I first started using this software, like, whoa, this thing is going so fast. But I'm really interested in your opinion, so let me know what you think down below about what's going on here, and you will see me in the next video.